It's 2004 and I'm sitting at the head table of my best friend's wedding. Everyone is joyously celebrating the newly married couple. As the best man, I'm excited too, but I'm distracted. I'm pumped for my buddy and his new bride. I am. They're great together and I'm thrilled for them. Yes, I'm a bit jealous of what they have. I haven't found the one yet, but I'm working on it. And this day could be the day when I find my one, which is why I can't focus on celebrating their big day. My plan is simple. Begins by giving the greatest wedding toast in the history of weddings. Now, I've spent weeks preparing. My toast is peppered with funny stories, clever anecdotes, perfectly timed quotes from the Bible about love never failing and it burning like a blazing fire. After I've displayed just the right amount of sensitivity and emotion, but not enough to risk being truly vulnerable, I'll bring the speech to a close. As the crowd erupts in applause, I'll hug my friend and his wife. Then I'll take my seat and scan the crowd. As I pan across the faces, I'll eventually lock eyes with one person. The person. My one. It'll be one of those once-in-a-lifetime moments that we'll both never forget.
I left her by the telescopes.
Hello everyone. My name is Matt Matheson and I'm the founder of this small but mighty channel, Family Money School, where our aim is to help kids and the parents who love them become money rock stars. This episode is sponsored by, let's be honest here. There's no sponsors yet, because as you just heard, we're pretty tiny right now, but we're mighty and we're growing. And if you like this video, please take a second to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel so that we can get a real sponsor. And one day, my son can get a haircut. Now, my plan is brilliant in its simplicity, and I just know it'll work. And it does work. Perfectly. Right up until the part where I'm scanning the faces of the guests, and everyone fails to hold my gaze. Now, the rest of the night passes as many weddings had before. Me awkwardly sitting on the side of the dance floor, chatting with the other bachelors who are too self-conscious of their skills to get out there and bust a move. As I drive home that night, I conduct a post-mortem on what went wrong with my plan. I was funny, I was sensitive, endearing, and even more sensitive. I had great stories, pithy one-liners. Come on, I had love quotes from the Bible. It was a killer plan, foolproof, one that didn't require me to be vulnerable or take any risks. And that was the problem. But it'll be another year before I finally understand that. Otto von Bismarck said that only a fool learns from their own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. Now, by this definition, I am a huge fool. I've made a lot of mistakes. And when it comes to the world's richest people, I'm in good company. Because even amongst such a wildly diverse group, from the quiet, aw shucks wisdom of Warren Buffett to the out-of-the-world vision and creativity of Elon Musk, they all have one thing in common. A long list of mistakes, mess-ups, and miscalculations that cost them millions, and in some cases, billions of dollars. But as much as these mistakes have cost them, embracing their mistakes has made them many billions more. Even the world's richest man, Jeff Bezos, has failed. In fact, he's failed so much that if you didn't know how much he was worth or what company he'd started, and you simply tallied up his successes on one side and his failures on the other, you might even categorize him as a failure. But you'd be wrong. Since starting Amazon as an online bookstore in his garage in 1994, he's turned it into an e-commerce giant worth over $1.7 trillion. And in the process, he's made a bit of cash himself, amassing a net worth of $177 billion. So yeah, it's fair to say he's done okay for himself. He credits his success largely to one thing: failure. In fact, when he started Amazon, he gave himself only a 30% chance of success. According to Bezos, if you come up with a business idea and there's no risk there, it's probably already being done, and being done well. So you might have to come up with something that might not work, and you have to accept that your business, in many ways, is an experiment and it might fail. And that's okay. And he's willing to put his money where his mouth is, often making bold moves. For example, Tons of people doubted that customers would pay $79 a year for Amazon Prime when it launched in 2005. As of December 2020, Prime had close to 150 million global subscribers, paying now $119 a year for the service. But he's had fails as well, like Amazon Destinations, a short-lived travel service which completely shut down 6 months after it launched. Or his partnership with Warren Buffett to found Haven, a healthcare company that ended up being shuttered just 3 years after it started. And I mean, who can forget the Amazon Fire phone? Well, evidently, pretty much everyone. Introduced in 2014, the smartphone was an almost instant flop, with its price dropping from $199 to 99 cents in just a few months, costing Amazon $170 million. But Bezos wasn't flustered by any of these failures. In fact, he embraces them, learning how to turn obstacles into opportunities. Sometimes that means shutting an idea completely down, like he did with Amazon Fire. And other times it means pivoting and learning how to turn your failures into positive momentum. Like he did with his latest success, the video game New World, which was developed by Amazon Game Studios, the e-commerce giant's often struggling video game development arm. According to a tweet Bezos sent out, after many failures and setbacks in gaming, we have a success. So proud of the team for the persistence. View setbacks as helpful obstacles that drive learning. Whatever your goals are, don't give up, no matter how hard it gets. And Bezos continues to encourage risk-taking at Amazon. In fact, the size of the risk and failures need to grow with the company, he said. We need big failures if we're going to move the needle. Billion-dollar scale failures, Bezos said. And if we're not swinging hard enough. And you should view failure the same way. Not as something to be avoided at all costs, but as something to be embraced and learn from. If you're never willing to make mistakes, you'll never learn anything new. And so, when it comes to your money, don't let fear paralyze you from acting. I mean, you don't know how to invest? Start investing today and learn as you go. Are you confused about how to budget? Start budgeting today and learn and grow as you do so. Are you wondering how to start teaching your kids about money? Start with a piggy bank or allowance or opening a bank account and grow your knowledge and skills using my kids' money courses, which you can check out in the description below. The point is, don't wait. Start today. Don't let a fear of failure be the reason that you don't act. Now, my moment of reckoning happens in the most unusual place, a teacher's conference. It's 2009 and I'm sitting listening to some speaker drone on about assessment, classroom management, instructional practices, or some other educational buzzword I should be paying attention to. But I can't, because again, I'm distracted. As I look out over the audience, crowded into the lecture theater, I see her. She's beautiful. I mean, really beautiful. The kind of beautiful that takes your breath away. The kind of beautiful that is shocking. The kind of beautiful that is way out of my league. It's been a few years since I struck out with my wedding toast, and in that time I've learned a few things about taking risks. Mostly, I've come to care a lot less about failing. I've actually become used to it. Like Jeff Bezos, risk and the failures that come with it have become part of my DNA. And in the years following that wedding, I've had time to reflect on my track record with girls. Not very stellar. In fact, I didn't have a girlfriend until I was 23. I'm a bit of a slow learner. Now, as I struggled to understand my lack of dating success, a revelation came from an unexpected source. An old t-shirt that I owned in middle school. On the back was a quote, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take." And on the front was a 2-word call to action. No fear. I hadn't been willing to step out, to take a risk and actually put myself out there by asking a girl out. I hadn't failed, and so I hadn't learned, and so of course I hadn't experienced any success. And because of this epiphany, I vowed to never again fail because of fear. As Jeff Bezos said, I didn't think I'd regret trying and failing, and I suspected I would always be haunted by the decision to not try at all. So I too decide to never be haunted by fear again. Now, this leads to lots of expressing interest in girls, lots of asking them out, and yes, lots of failures. I have a few girlfriends over the next few years, but nothing serious. Nothing with that spark, that light bulb moment where I think she could be the one. And so, As I sit in that auditorium, my heart racing, my palms starting to sweat, I renew my vow. Today I'll learn from my past mistakes and put myself out there again. I'll step into the unknown and risk being hurt. Because if I don't, I can never find her. Because if nothing is ventured, nothing can be gained. And so I take my shot, even though it's a long shot. Now, not only does she say yes to going out for coffee with me on that day, she also says yes 2 years later when I ask her to marry me. And it's the same with your personal money. Mistakes aren't something to be avoided. They are to be embraced. Because without them, you can't learn and grow, and you can't build real wealth. But you don't want your new outlook on making mistakes to end with you. And if you're like me, you want to pass your insights on to your kiddos. So in the next video, I'm going to show you how money mistakes can make your kids wealthy. And once you teach them the tricks that turn mistakes from obstacles into opportunities, they'll be money rock stars in no time. I'll see you there.